The top stories tonight in Y News. The National Security Council reassures relentless pursuit of those accountable for the heinous bombing incident at Mindanao State University. Senators condemn the recent bombing at Marawi City as they call on law enforcement agencies to swiftly investigate the incident and bring those responsible to justice. Former President Rodrigo Duterte is a no-show at the preliminary investigation of the complaints filed by ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro against him. And Venezuelans turn out to vote in a referendum as President Nicolas Maduro's administration sought public support regarding a long-standing border dispute with Guyana over a potentially resource-rich area. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, December 4, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado. First in the news. The government is yet to provide a direct statement regarding the identification of the group behind the Mindanao State University bombing. However, the National Security Council has assured that efforts are underway to apprehend those responsible for the said attack. Nel Maribohok reports.
Authorities are still verifying the reported connection of ISIS to the explosion at the Mindanao State University Gymnasium in Marawi City. According to National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya, they only receive raw information and there is no basis yet to confirm any link to ISIS.
At present, what I can say is we are verifying these reports na it was ISIS-inspired or it was ISIS itself, no? Through their local counterparts na gumawa nito.
Despite this, according to the NSC official, authorities are currently pursuing those responsible for the attack in Marawi, which resulted in the death of 4 individuals and injuries to many.
We know of some remnants of the extremist groups in Lanao del Sur, and ito po ay tinutugis na ng ating mga otoridad, and the Armed Forces of the Philippines together with the Philippine National Police has committed to find those persons responsible for this dastardly attack, and they will be brought to justice.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. denounced the bombing at the MSU, assuring that the government is on top of this situation and helping the victims of the terrorist attack. The president extended his condolences to the families and loved ones of the victims, blaming foreign terrorists behind the bombing attack. PBBM also assured the public to bring the perpetrators of this senseless act to justice. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Vice President Sara Duterte appeals to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to reconsider the decision on granting amnesty to rebels and insurgent groups. She also disagrees with the resumption of peace talks with the Reds. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Vice President Sara Duterte stated that the evil deeds of the Communist Party of the Philippines, National People's Army, and National Democratic Front of the Philippines towards fellow Filipinos are incomparable. She added the victims of their armed struggle cannot be counted. Consequently, she is appealing to President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. to reconsider granting amnesty to the rebels and insurgent groups. She made the statement during the 5th anniversary of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC.
Sumusuporta ako sa mga hakbang para itaguyod ang kapayapaan sa bansa because the fight against terrorists is deeply personal to me as it is deeply personal to the families of countless Filipinos whose lives were forever upended because of the madness of terrorists. Pero hindi ang pagbibigay ng amnestiya ang daan sa kapayapaan.
The Vice President also expressed her disagreement with the government's resumption of peace negotiations with the Reds, citing the rebels' insincerity.
We appeal to your power to review these proclamations and agreements. PBBM. Sana po ay isalang-alang natin ang ating mga komunidad na naging pugad ng mga terorista sa mahabang panahon na ngayon ay lumalaban na at tumutulong sa pamahalaan. Let us honor the memory of those who died in the senseless and bloody attacks of the NPA, CPP, and DFP.
Meanwhile, Speaker Martin Romualdez reiterated his support to President Marcos' decision to reopen talks for peace negotiations. He said every Filipino must support the peace process. PBBM signed proclamation numbers 403, 404, 405, and 406, allowing the granting of amnesty to rebels and insurgents. Also recently, the Philippine government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines have agreed to restart peace negotiations. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
There is no indication that the blast in Mindanao State University in Marawi last Sunday is perpetrated by a suicide bomber. Philippine National Police Public Information Acting Chief Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said the 4 fatalities, 1 male and 3 female, have already been identified.
Wala pong indication na meron pong ganon. Kausap ko po yung PD because mga Kristiyano po ito, ongoing po yung mass nung mangyari po ito. In fact, yung 4 na biktima po, I understand, are all Christians po. So, wala pong indicator sa ngayon na may suicide bomber po na involved dito sa insidente po na ito.
Colonel Fajardo adds 39 of the 45 wounded in the blast were already out of the hospital, while 6 of them are still undergoing medical treatment. Police Regional Office, Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, have identified 2 persons of interest, or POI. The 2 POI were said to be involved in a series of bus bombing in the region. Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Zia Alonto Adyong believes the bombing of Mindanao State University, or MSU, should not lead to resorting to martial law. Meanwhile, another Mindanao lawmaker, Basilan Lone District Representative Mujib Hataman, says human security and development are closely related. Rosa Licoz will tell us why.
Implementing martial law will create panic. This is the reaction of Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Zia Alonto Adjong when asked if there is a need to impose temporary military rule following the bombing at Mindanao State University, or MSU.
I think we should not resort to that kasi we do not want to cause unnecessary panic. The more kasi na magpanic tayo, it's also a sign na pinapakita natin na hindi tayo on control of everything. So it should be the opposite.
4 people were killed and several others were injured following the bomb explosion in an MSU gymnasium on Sunday, December 3. The Lanao del Sur representative said that instead of implementing martial law, the government should be able to garner support from the community.
We need to win the people's support. We need to win the sympathies. And by doing so, we do not only resort to military effort, we also need to invest more on the civilian defense scheme or civilian defense intervention.
Meanwhile, Basilan Lone District Representative Mujib Hataman stated that there's a significant relationship between human security and development, particularly in relation to the ongoing rehabilitation in Marawi City. Marawi crisis took place in November 2017, leading to a 5-month armed conflict between the Islamic State-linked Maute group and Philippine forces. After this, rehabilitation of the most affected areas in Marawi began. However, even after 6 years, the rehabilitation of the city is not yet complete.
Very disappointing given yung timeline na binigay na kailang extension. Tapos kahit sabihin mo, actually, ito pang masaklap dito, billion yung pera na pinondo dyan mula nung nakaraang administration. Pero hanggang ngayon na marami ang hindi napapakinabangan.
Based on the lawmakers' experience in Basilan, development is a crucial factor in preventing terrorists from recruiting. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Senators condemn the recent bombing at the university in Marawi City as they call on law enforcement agencies to swiftly act on the incident and bring justice for the victims. This report will tell us why. Senators took the floor in today's plenary session to express their deepest condolences and solidarity to the community following the tragic bombing at the Mindanao State University in Marawi City, killing at least 4 people and wounded others. Senator Ronald De La Rosa delivered a privileged speech to condemn what he calls an unforgivable act of violence and terrorism. The lawmaker wants to launch an investigation into the bombing incident and look into all angles, including possible failure of intelligence.
It will cover everything, not only the lapses. We don't want to be finger pointing here. Pwedeng merong failure of intelligence dahil nga hindi na-monitor, di ba? Kung na-monitor man nila, failure to act on the intelligence. Ganun naman talaga ang mangyayari dyan.
Meanwhile, Senator J.V. Ejercito filed a resolution condemning the bombing and urging the military and other law enforcement agencies to undertake necessary steps to bring the perpetrators to justice. Senate Deputy Minority Leader Rizon De Vero says, in light of the incident, the Marawi Compensation Board has suspended its award of compensation to Marawi victims beginning today, December 4, up to December 8.
At yan ang ganyang long-term effect na gustong likhain ng mga gumawa at gumagawa ng ganitong klaseng mga terror action. Isa-isang tabi ang pag-asa, bigyang daan ang pagkabigo, at ang lahat pa ng mga sama ng loob na ginagamit nila para sa kanilang madilim na layunin.
Senate President Juan Miguel Migzubiri also hopes their efforts on the passage of the Bangsamoro Organic Law for just and lasting peace in Mindanao won't go to waste following the incident. An executive session will be held on Wednesday with law enforcement and intelligence agencies.
I'd like to order the Senate Secretary that on Wednesday we will have an executive session and invite the DND, the Philippine National Police, the AFP, NSA, and the NICA to be with us to brief the Senate on the situation. And we appeal to our people who are listening in not to be afraid and not to be cowed by this incident.
Joreen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
For the news abroad, on Sunday, a 38-year-old man with a history of domestic violence had killed 4 members of his extended family, of them 2 children, stabbing them in their home in Queens, New York. The victims were a 12-year-old boy, an 11-year-old girl, a 44-year-old woman, and a man in his 30s, and a woman aged 51. Their bodies found on the front yard and in bedrooms. The chief of the department, Jeffrey Madry, detailed the report of the case.
Members from the 101 precinct received a 911 call of assault in progress, where basically a young female caller stated that her cousin is killing her family members. 2 of our members from the 101 precinct, a 28-year veteran, a 16-year veteran, and a marked vehicle doing patrol, responded to the location.
2 of the police officers were stabbed upon their encounter with the suspect, prompting another officer to shoot him dead. The officers now making their recovery. Meanwhile, another victim of the stabbing was a woman aged 61 who managed to survive but is currently in hospital under critical conditions.
The swarming activities of Chinese maritime militia vessels in the West Julian Felipe Reef are not new. Their numbers have increased from 111 vessels on November 13 to 135 now, according to National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya. What is particularly alarming is the escalating number of Chinese maritime militia vessels. Malaya highlights that the increase in China's way of showcasing aggression in claiming the Julian Felipe Reef. In response, the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea promptly dispatched ships to the area, expressing strong opposition.
Parang they're trying really to change the facts on the ground, no? So As a result of this, nagdesisyon ang National Task Force West Philippine Sea na ipaalam ito sa publiko what is happening at this reef, yung Julian Philippe Reef. Coast Guard vessels were dispatched to that area to fly the flag as well. Kasi kung ang Chinese Coast Guard at ang Chinese Maritime Militia are present there, flying their flag, the Philippines must also be represented. At pinaigting din natin yung ating maritime domain awareness.
The Philippines has conveyed its dissatisfaction with China's warming activity in the region. However, international studies expert Professor Renato de Castro from De La Salle University emphasizes that swarming is just one of China's tactics to exert control over 90% of the South China Sea.
Palakasin na lang ho natin ang ating Coast Guard, palakasin ho natin ang Navy. Kung magkakaroon ng support sa ating mga mangingisda, siguro voluntary based yan, pero hindi ho natin sila ilalagay sa peligro. Katulad ho ng China. Kasi lahat naman ho yan Lahat naman ho yung mga mangingisda, mayroon ho yung mga organisasyon na pinapaandar ho at hawak ho ng Communist Party of China. Wala naman ho tayong gano'n, hindi naman ho tayong komunista katulad ng China po.
He commends the unity of Filipinos in responding to this challenge and underscores the importance of strengthening the Philippine Coast Guard and armed forces to safeguard the area.
Ngayon nakikita natin yung operation ng tinatawag natin Chinese Maritime Militia at ang ginagamit niya yung tinatawag nating swarming tactic. Nagpapadala sila doon na napakarami nilang fishing vessels na minaman ng Chinese Maritime Militia at talagang pinamumukha nila sa atin na kaya nilang sakupin at kaya nilang kupkupin. Yung sa Julian Philippe Reef na nangyari.
A lawmaker hopes for a dialogue with Chinese counterparts following the reported swarming of Chinese militia vessels in Julian Philippe Reef in West Philippine Sea. This as the presidential sister laments the continued maritime incursions in the West Philippine Sea.
Talagang hindi nakakatuwa itong mga pangyayari. Parang hindi pa sapat ang gera sa mundo, magpapasko na. Hindi pa talaga tayo tumipigil sa pagkakasik ng lagim. Kaya eto nga, inaasahan ko na talagang makausap natin ang ating mga counterpart in check. In the meantime, habang ginagawa yung budget natin, wala tayong maaasahan kundi ang sarili natin.
For his part, Senator Ronald De La Rosa admits he doesn't know anymore how to deal with China.
Well, ako rin nag-iisip paano gawin natin yan? Anong gawin natin? Diba? Wala tayong makita solusyon ayaw lang umalis. Hindi naman tayo pwede makipagira. Di ba? Mahirap talaga.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, is actively ensuring assistance for the local government units and families affected by the earthquake in Surigao del Sur. DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian conducted an assessment today in the affected areas. According to the Secretary, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered the continuation of aid to families affected by the magnitude 7.4 earthquake in Mindanao. The Department of the Interior and Local Government is also collaborating with local governments to provide assistance. A coordination meeting was held at the Surigao del Sur provincial capital in Tandag City for damage assessment in the affected areas. According to the report of the Office of the Civil Defense, 746 houses were totally damaged and 141 were partially damaged with a total damage cost of over 88 million pesos. OCD adds that out of 529 families, 2,647 people have been affected by the earthquake.
Ang response po ay mabilis pong ibibigay. Dahil po ang mga kalsada, hindi naman po naantala. Secondly po, ang National Response Cluster ay naka-activate for this incident.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, has recorded more than 2,000 aftershocks as of 5 p.m. today. This follows the magnitude 7.4 earthquake that occurred offshore Hinatuan, Surigao del Sur on December 2. FIVOLC's anticipated aftershocks for the coming weeks, albeit with lower magnitudes. The agency attributes the strong earthquake to the Philippine Trench. In response to the seismic activity, a tsunami warning was issued, and some areas reported waves exceeding half a meter along the shores.
So, yung nangyari po nung December 2 is 7.4, is talaga pong malakas, very strong po na earthquake, which is destructive po siya. So, ang pinakamataas po naging intensity is intensity 7 po.
May mga historical events na po rin tayo rito, and in fact, in 1921, meron tayong magnitude 7.5 earthquake, and it produced a tsunami. We also have magnitude 7.2, it's almost on the same area, magnitude 7.2 in 1929. Farther north, we have magnitude 7.6 in 1952. And in 1992, meron tayong magnitude 7.1. So lahat po ito nag-produce ng tsunamis.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte is a no-show at the preliminary investigation of the complaints filed by ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro against him. Dante Amento tells us why.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte did not appear in today's preliminary hearing at the Quezon City Prosecutor's Office. Duterte's legal counsel and former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Monday, December 4, that they have not yet received the summons and the complaint affidavit on the grave threats complaint filed by ACT Teachers Representative Franz Castro against the former chief executive. Castro's lawyer, Attorney Rico Domingo, meanwhile revealed that there were two female lawyers who entered appearance or represented Duterte. They have also officially furnished a copy of the subpoena.
Hindi namin sasabing delaying tactic yon. Ang kanilang sinasabi ay hindi pa raw natatanggap ang subpoena at complaint affidavit ni Congresswoman Franz Castro. Kaya ang ginawa ng fiscal, binigyan po sila ng another copy na they officially received this afternoon.
Representative Castro wished that former President Duterte should appear personally. The prosecutor's office instead has reset the preliminary investigation on December 15 at 2:30 p.m.
Sana nandito siya, no, para ma-face niya or makita maano niya yung kaso, no, makita niya at makapag-submit siya personally nung kanyang counter affidavit.
Representative Castro filed a supplemental complaint affidavit for an alleged another threat against her by Duterte on November 16 on his TV program at SMNI.
Ito yung laman din ng supplemental complaint ko, no. Inulit niya pa, nakalagay dito. Kaya ikaw, Franz, how do you solve the problem now? Kaya yung statement ko yung komunista dapat patayin, kasali ka dapat. Well, ito na yung magpapatunay, no, na tinutukoy ako mula pa nung sa unang complaint natin.
In response, Attorney Roque said the former president will file his counter affidavit in due course. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Metro Rail Transit 3 or MRT3 management has announced their intention to refile a fare hike petition with the Rail Regulatory Unit. The objective behind this initiative is to manage the mounting maintenance and operating expenses, which are currently being subsidized by the government. JP Nunez will tell us why.
In a bid to address the financial challenges plaguing the Metro Rail Transit 3 or MRT3, the railway system finds itself grappling with a revenue deficit since the last approved fare increase back in 2015. The Assistant Secretary for Railways and Officer in Charge, General Manager Georgette Aquino, shed light on the situation, explaining that a substantial portion of the maintenance and operational expenses of the railway is currently subsidized by the government. ASEC Aquino emphasized that this subsidy stems from the budget allocated to the Department of Transportation as outlined in the General Appropriations Act. The stark financial reality is laid bare as the operational and maintenance expenses of the MRT3 amount to staggering 9 to 10 billion pesos, while the revenue generated this year falls significantly short at only 1.9 billion pesos.
Despite the increase in ridership at revenue,
meron pa rin tayong around 6.2 billion na kakulangan or deficit. Mas malaki yung nagiging subsidy na hinihingi namin sa national government. Ngayon, kung kami ay makakapagtaas ng pasahe, ang subsidy na aming hihingin ay magiging mas mababa. So ito ngayon ay magagamit sa iba pang mga proyekto na pwedeng mapakinabangan din ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino.
To cope with these financial challenges, the MRT3 management is set to refile their fare hike petition this week. The proposed adjustments include a 2 pesos and 29 centavos increase to the boarding fare, along with an additional 21 centavos per kilometer of travel. If approved, the minimum fare would rise from the current 13 pesos to 16 pesos, while the end-to-end station journey from North Avenue to Taft Avenue would see an increase from 28 pesos to 34 pesos. The potential impact of this proposed fare increase on the daily budgets of regular MRT3 passengers is a significant concern.
For me, dapat hindi muna, especially sa economic crisis na meron tayo. So yung cost of living din medyo nag-i-increase. So if ever na itataas nila yung pamasahe sa MRT, dapat unahin muna nila yung mga empleyado kung tumataas ba yung salary din.
Katulad namin, kaming mga laging sumasakay ng MRT. Malaking po sa amin yun, lalo na dagdag sa food allowance din namin yun. Malaking kabawasan din po yun. Mabigat para sa aming mga commuter.
However, the management remains hopeful that the fare hike petition will receive approval and be implemented by the first or early second quarter of the upcoming year.
Venezuelans turned out to vote in a referendum on Sunday, December 3rd, as President Nicolas Maduro's administration sought public support regarding a long-standing border dispute with Guyana over a potentially resource-rich area. This referendum, featuring 5 questions, includes a crucial carry rejecting the International Court of Justices, or ICJ, in determining the ownership of territory surrounding the Essequibo River. Maven Carrizo will tell us why.
The Venezuelan government views this referendum as a demonstration of resilience and an opportunity to gauge public backing before the anticipated 2024 presidential election. President Maduro has actively advocated for voters' approval, emphasizing the need to revisit the Geneva Agreement and engage in bilateral discussions with Guyana. However, the ICJ asserted its jurisdiction over the matter in April, signaling a prolonged legal process for a final decision. Meanwhile, Guyana South to hold the referendum. The court's recent directive restrained Venezuela from altering the status quo, but did not explicitly prohibit to vote, as both nations interpret the court's stance as supportive of their respective positions. The contested region spans 160,000 square kilometers, primarily dense jungle, but gained renewed attention from Venezuela due to offshore oil and gas discoveries. Analysts like Ricardo Sucre from Central University of Venezuela underscored Maduro's strategic motives, aiming to exhibit strength to Guyana while emphasizing adherence to previous agreement for a bilateral resolution, especially concerning potential energy resource. Despite the last of robust no campaign within Venezuela, political analysts anticipate the proposal's approval, considering the absence of opposition and the likelihood of dissenting voters abstaining. Meanwhile, Brazil heightened defensive measures along its northern border amid the escalating territorial tensions between Venezuela and Guyana, underscoring the wider regional implications of the dispute. Maven Carrizo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Bianca Quijano, live from Toronto, Canada. Good evening.
Of the UNTV Cup Season 10 eliminations, the PNP responders and the Ombudsman Graph Busters managed to sustain their winning streak, securing victories in their respective matchups yesterday. On the flip side, the rookie team, Kamalek Vanguards, faced a setback as they tasted their third consecutive defeat in the tournament. JP Nunez reports.
In the latest UNTV Cup Season 10 action, the PNP responders showcased an impressive performance, securing their third consecutive victory. This came after the Senate defenders succumbed to their third straight loss in a closely contested match. While the Senate dominated the initial 3 quarters, the PNP made a remarkable comeback, demonstrating a never-say-die attitude in the game. Richard Villanueva played a crucial role in this turnaround, contributing 3 crucial points in the last 4.5 minutes.
Villanueva to tie the game. Got it!
Breathing life into the seemingly struggling responders and leveling the score to 66 points.
Turnover na naman after the timeout para sa Senado.
Villanueva still with 2 minutes and 41 seconds left, followed by another 3 points from an assist by Serrano, widened their lead to 6 points.
Serrano, inikot pa ang bola, Villanueva. Got it!
Despite the defenders' efforts to catch up, the buzzer sounded with the final score at 78-74. Richard Villanueva, with 17 points and a steal, was named the best player of the game, while Anton Tolentino added 12 points to the winning effort. Despite efforts from Larry Gasparillo, Harry Petillos, GK Sevilla, and Clark Torrente, the defenders fell short. The PNP now boasts a 3-1 win-loss record, while the Senate falls to 1-3.
Actually, ano lang talaga, practice kasi nakita ko na ang Senate is one of the best defender dito sa UNTV Cup Season 10. So, yun talaga rin ang inano namin na makarecover kami dito sa hard fought game, kaya kailangan namin mag-step up. So yung practice namin, intensely sa mga sa conditioning, tapos yung trap defense sila, yung press break namin.
Hindi ko rin masabi kung anong naging problema namin kasi maganda umpisa, di ba? Kami yung lumamang na biggest lead kami. Sila habol lang, habol, dikit. Mag-run sila, nabe-break namin. Unfortunately, pagdating ng last 3 minutes, yung run nila, medyo hindi namin na-sustain yung, na-break yung run. Last seconds ng game na lang namin na, kaya lang, kapos na kami. Dalawa na kalaban namin, yung PNP, tsaka yung time.
Meanwhile, in Group A, the Ombudsman Graph Busters continue their undefeated streak, securing their 4th consecutive victory. In a heated match against the GSIS Furies, the Graph Busters emerged victorious with a final score of 71-54. Currently, the Ombudsman Graph Busters boast the best record since their entry into the league back in Season 4. Leading the charge in their latest victory were Emmanuel Baltazar, who showcased an outstanding performance with 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Samuel Ignacio contributing 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals.
Primarily, syempre, yung defense namin, nag-workout yun, At sabi ko nga sa kanila, good defense will result to a better offense. At saka nakita ko yung puso Nakita ko yung puso ng mga players. Actually, we have only 9 players, Si Attorney medyo nag-aalanganin pa nga kanina. At si Franco may konting problema sa legs. But anyway, credit ito sa mga players ko. And yun nga, syempre luckily, talaga nag-step up silang lahat,
We were a bit slow at the start of the game, especially on the offensive boards dahil yung Ombudsman had a lot of offensive rebounds. So for us, we just need to learn from that na kailangan bumax out and try to outwork yung Ombudsman team because they're very strong offensive rebounding team. Yung effort, their effort was there, yung sa amin wasn't there. So we need to put more effort in our next game.
On the other hand, the Department of Agriculture Food Masters handed the Comelec Vanguards their third straight loss with a final score of 95-82. The Food Masters now hold a 3-1 win-loss record, while the Comelec Vanguards are at 1-3. Looking ahead, the Comelec faces crucial matches against the DENR Warriors on December 14 and the Senate Defenders on December 20. The Department of Agriculture is set to take on the PNP on December 10 and the DENR on December 17. The best player of the game honors went to Julius Kasaysayan, who delivered an outstanding performance with 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Additionally, Elijan de Guzman made significant contributions, recording an impressive stat line of 25 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals.
Well, aside from scouting, yung video na pinapanood namin ng coaches namin, piniprepare namin yung players sa practice kung paano kami didepensa. Kasi may mga players dito na talagang pag pinagbigyan mo, talagang bibigay ng mga more than 20 points. So, kailangan lang na malimit yung mga players na yon. At naging consistent lang kami sa mga game plan namin.
Nagkaroon ng diferensya lang sa execution and we were surprised na ganun yung resulta during the first half and nag-adjust kami. However, the opposing team was also prepared. So yung mga plays namin, may mga counter din sila and they executed better than us. Medyo hirap din kami sa rotation ng players considering na there is a big height difference between our players. So limitado yung kaya kong ipasok ng mga players. So talagang breaks of the game din. Kaya siguro better luck next time mas pagbubutihan pa namin sa aming mga ensayo.
Triple header games will return to the UNTV Cup at Paco Arena in Manila on December 7, Thursday. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Mark, chapter 11, verse 24, it says, Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. And those are the reasons behind the news, December 4, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold, because we need to know. We will always ask why. I'm Hardin Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.